Welcome back. Today, the F2000 from Wilson. Great ball. I'm a huge fan of this ball. I bought this ball originally about a year ago when I started playing quarterback, and I went through a full season with one, which we'll talk about today, of course. But for those of you who don't have one, this is available at Litson's Athletics in Hamilton. I think Dundas actually officially, but in Hamilton. It's about $200. It's not cheap, but the ball itself is extremely high quality. It's got some of the best features of any ball that I've thrown. The shape is outstanding. The QC is outstanding. There's really only one thing I don't like about the ball, which we'll talk about. But first, let's get into the usual stuff. So the ball itself, Wilson's red leather. I think this is the same leather that the Duke is made of. I'm not 100% sure on that, but it looks to me to be about the same color pre-break-in. It has, as usual, this outstanding looking gold foil stamp. Just looks, this is like such a favorite feature of mine. It just looks so great, especially as the leather darkens up. And of course the F2000 plus the made in USA and the inflation recommendations there. All the black stamping looks great. On the other side, Wilson U Sports, the college ball here in Canada. And again, the gold foiling, outstanding stuff. Let's talk a bit about the laces. This ball has, as always, the Wilson ACL lace, pebbled, raised. Some people like it, some people don't. I'll talk about why I think this particular ball, twice now for me, has been missing my favorite thing about laces, which you probably already know. We'll get to that. You can see the QC here, really good stuff. The distance between the end of the lace and the white stripe on both sides, just about the same. The black stitching around the laces, just about the same. Almost no real issues in terms of both production quality and cosmetics here. We'll talk a little bit about the dimpling. You can see the dimpling is very, very well done on this leather. Horween in the States makes this leather just like they make all the other Wilson leathers. I've talked about this before in the Omega review and in the original review that got this channel started, talking about all the balls. It's really high quality stuff. The other thing I'll note is that around the white striping here, you can see that there's already some break-in with the leather. I think Wilson does this on purpose. I don't want to say it's actually like broken in at all, but I suspect it needs to be, maybe it needs to be treated before you can paint it. That's my best guess. I'm not 100% sure there, but that's my best guess. And then I will note that there's some sort of cosmetic blemishes on the leather where the paint is, because I think it's hard to paint leather, if I had to guess. You're not going to see this kind of imperfection in terms of look when the leather inlays are stitched in. Why? Because it's hard to mess that up. The leather inlays either look good or they don't, right? If I pull up a GST here, the leather inlays are another kind of material on the ball, right? It's another kind of leather, but you get the idea. Easier to mess up painting and have problems with that, I think. But it's still not cosmetically an issue, in my opinion, and definitely doesn't make it a kicker ball. I mean, if you're that sensitive to problems with the ball, maybe buying leather balls isn't for you. You can see as well that the leather has tons of the baked in tack and wax. This is why, by the way, you don't use shaving cream and hot water when you're breaking in your balls, because you're meant to brush this tack and wax into the ball, not remove it, okay? This is like pretty standard fare at this point. If you're not doing that, I don't know why. I get that there's companies out there who will darken the ball for you. The ball doesn't need to be dark. It needs to be tacky. These are not synonymous, regardless of what you see on Saturdays and Sundays. Lots of stuff out there pointing to that result. So don't worry too much about all that. The leather around the white laces feels the same, even though it's a little different color. So I wouldn't worry about that if I was buying this ball. And what I notice here is the seams are very well done on both ends, very symmetrical, no problems with stitching, no problems with the manufacturing. Those seams are flat on the sides. The ball's fully inflated at the moment, so those seams are very flat. This would be easy to brush, easy to break in. And actually, if you brush a ball like the GST, one of the things you see online, and I've dealt with it too, although it doesn't really matter to me. I brush over the stripe now anyway, but with the leather stripe, you wind up brushing in several more quadrants than you'd otherwise have to, because you have that striping and maybe you don't want to brush over it, or you don't want to condition it or whatever. So treatment and break-in becomes a more tedious exercise, let's say. With this ball, you don't have to worry about that. You just brush panel by panel, up and down, side to side, all around. You guys know the drill there, and you don't have to worry. You can brush over this paint, and I have done it once before. In fact, this is the ball that I've been using more than any other ball over the last year. It's an F2000 that's broken in. Great dark purple. Like I said, that Wilson foiling looks just sick on that dark ball. You can see the shape of the ball too has really held its own. I think it's even more narrow than when I got it, even though it's, I realize it's a little underinflated, but this is a rock solid ball. You can see the manufacturing quality, just outstanding. QC, again, on this ball, the distance between stripe and lace, the same. High quality stuff from Wilson. I think this is why the universities up here chose this ball. And the dimpling here, just like your fingers just sink into this ball, man. This is nice. It's really nice. So I'm going to talk a bit about two things that I like about this ball compared to the GSTs, the Omegas, even the team issue or the dime. This ball doesn't have any SRS stitching, has no leather striping inlay, has none of that stuff. So sometimes you may find that when you're throwing a ball, especially if you're catching a snap or playing in a league where there's no pass pro, your first instinct is to turn to the lace to get grip. That's fine if your hands wind up in a good place on the ball, right? If you get this, you don't really have to worry. My hand's not on the leather striping that often. I like to do one finger on, one finger off. Oftentimes, if I have to get two fingers on, I'll use the stripe. That's me. I've heard people complain about this because what happens is your hand is a weird shape, and your hand, you end up on like the border of the stripe, or trying to put two fingers on the stripe or get two fingers off if you're really one of these like index finger QBs. The stripe may throw you off. And to me, it's not a big deal, but to some it is. I will say that with this ball, now that it's been broken in, this older one, the leather is so soft that you don't even need to worry about getting the laces, okay? That's a positive. It's important that that's a positive because the laces on this thing don't have a good nub. The laces at the ends both fell off. They both sank. I've tried to, use different tools to kind of like pin it up a little bit and then inflate it so that it'll stay. It just doesn't do the trick. If you look at this Wilson F2000, it's going to have the same problem. There's no nub on the end. Those laces are going to slide right off, which may bother you. It may not. I'm a big stickler for that. It really drives me crazy. This ball is never going to slide off. These laces don't even move. Okay, like they're rock solid. The Omega, same thing. This is probably going to slide off at some point. It's too bad because this ball is becoming one of my favorites too. If I look up on the wall here, there's a few others. The Dime has this problem. The Vapor Elite probably will have that problem. The Team Issue ball will have that problem. But the Prime and the GST, this GST don't have that issue. Fantastic. This one will. So if that bothers you, maybe look at another ball. Overall, though, I would say that the F2000 is a quality product. It's made of really high quality leather. It's got all the wax and tack you like to see. It's very easy to learn to throw. And I think, again, like I don't talk about the hand size too much anymore. It's a friendly shape for a quarterback with small hands. If I hold the ball up to the camera, I can put my hand over the second to last sideways lace, over the last space, over the last sideways lace. You can use your pinky. You can use your index finger, go a little wider if you want to. Lots of options for you. I think it's all because of that shape. And, as I said before, Wilson will tell you they make all their balls the same size. What that actually means, and I've said this before on the channel, I've had this confirmed to me by Wilson, it means that the mid-line girth and end-to-end, there are specs that need to be met, but there's wiggle room basically everywhere else. So you want a longer ball that's a little more narrow, you can get it. Team Issue makes one, the dual threat. You want a ball that's a little shorter, you probably can't do it, but there's ways to like have the ball dive from the laces to the tip of the ball, right? This one feels really good to me. I would love to compare this to a CFL ball, which I don't have. Maybe I'll buy one because I think that's an important comp to make. Many of you guys are talking to me about CFL balls in the comments. I just don't have one to compare to. So maybe I'll buy one and see. But yeah, for now, I would say if you're looking for a ball, it's a little on the pricey side for a first ball, but you're not going to be disappointed. Wilson makes an elite product, like I've said before, and this one's no different. I'm happy to get to finally break this one in, and I'll do some videos on that, maybe go panel by panel and show you exactly what to expect when you're breaking in a ball with the Wilson process. Again, Wilson's not asking me to make these reviews, but they make the best stuff. Like, there's a lot of options out there. Nike makes a good ball. Team Issue makes a good ball. The Dime is a really nice ball. But I think, I have to say, I keep going back to the Wilson balls. So it's only fair that I tell you guys that, even though I've had a look and a little bit of time with all these other products at this point. So that's it for me today. Look out for a video review of the Duke, which is just off camera over here to my right. And in the next little while. I'll be talking about that. Lots to say about that ball. That's an interesting one in terms of break-in and in terms of, I think, throwing with the laces, or in this case, without. So anyhow, until next time, enjoy and happy throwing.